of Babuji's immense love for Lalaji Maharaj. He had only one love, and I used to think it was an obsession. I remember when we used to travel by air together. On one occasion, we were traveling by Scandinavian Airlines from Copenhagen to Delhi. It was a direct flight. And of course, we used to travel tourist class economy, as it's called. And we had to buy earphones to see the movies in those days, $2.50. So Babuji said, you buy one for yourself, two is a waste because I don't see anything. So I put them on and the movie started. I was watching. Every few minutes he would just pull out mine, put it on and watch, and say, waste of time, and give it back to me. And start something about Lalaji Maharaj. So after about 30 minutes of this, I said, Babuji, don't you have anything else to talk about other than Lalaji Maharaj? He said, look here, I'm telling you, in this world, there is no other topic worth speaking about. And he went on to praise Lalaji Maharaj. For instance, speaking about discipline, which is a subject which should be very dear to the heart of Abhyasis, he says, Lalaji Maharaj hated flattery, and though he loved his followers with all their faults, he was at the same time a strong disciplinarian. The discipline corrects the baseness of worldly passion, fortifies the heart with virtuous principles, enlightens the mind with useful knowledge, and furnishes enjoyment from within itself. Hence, Lalaji never failed to enforce stern discipline with love. One would not know that there was so much in discipline. The common understanding is that discipline curtails the individual's freedom. That's why there is so much rebellion against discipline. When we say, for instance, at satsang, please switch off cell phones. When we have a Sunday satsang, when there are about 3,000 people present, inevitably there are at least 3 phones which are on, and we hear it ringing during the satsang. You see this in aircraft, surreptitious telephoning when it is forbidden. I read of an air crash in Australia where the pilot was using his cell phone, and that was the cause of the disaster. So you see, discipline is not liked because we view it wrongly as curtailing our individual freedom, whereas it is not. Discipline under all circumstances, it's our safety. Road rules are for our safety. Don't overtake at a corner. Keep to one side of the road, whatever it is, right in America, left here, no. Obey road rules. For your own safety, they should add, Sensible governments must point out why people are being disciplined. Pay your taxes, because from your taxes, we serve you. I think our preceptors should also mug this up by heart and repeat it at every satsang, that this is what discipline means, you see, and it should not be taken only for individual freedom curtailment. And Babuji goes on to say, with a view to train his fellow brothers and disciples, he performed the duties of a householder exceedingly well. He respected his elders and saluted them, exercised humility with those of his own age without resorting to humiliation, and loved those who were younger than himself. You see? And Babuji used to tell me that he had evening satsang at about 6 o'clock. He would wait, and at precisely 6 o'clock he would start giving the sitting, transmitting, whether anybody was present or not. And I said, why to those who are not absent? He said, especially to those who are absent, he used to cover, so that they should not miss because they were foolish to miss the satsang. So he included those who were present, of course, and thought of those who are not there, and this is what we have been trained to do. See the generosity of this Guru. It is like feeding people who are not here by a spiritual way and conveying the food into their stomachs by some yogic method, I don't know what. So discipline is very important. Preceptors must understand, convey the right meaning of discipline, and insist on discipline always. I think I told you already about what happened in Paris. I don't need to repeat it again. Coming back to the love story of Master, you see, he says in Truth Eternal, special personality. An evil man is clay to God and wax to the devil. A good man is God's wax and Satan's clay. Cleanse your manas with practice of sadhana and then go through literature, otherwise reality will be lost upon you. Avoid becoming a master and serve as a servant should. Avoid the company of the rich, women and children. Never promise anybody that you would realize God within a given time. You have only to remove the doubt whether God and Atma exist or not. If you have freed yourself of this, you need not have a guru. The search for God and soul is natural, and this is imbecility. This fantasy can be cured by another fantasy who is a guru. Atheist is not a person who does not believe in God. Those who harm the physical, mental, intellectual and spiritual existence are the true atheists. God has hidden himself inside your hearts and exposed you. Hide yourself and expose God. This is the real sadhana. You see? And of course he says, real craving for God will be found only in one person out of thousands. What is real love for God? It is a state when the trinity of the lover, the beloved and love itself all disappear. So these are what Babuji Maharaj has emphasized, and some principles of Sahaj Marg are given by Lalaji Maharaj. Whatever searches for God is the Atma, and whichever is searched for is Paramatma. The seeker is Atman, the sought after is Paramatman. The soul of a human being will be clean in proportion to the power of discrimination he possesses. It is not knowledge, it is not purity, it's none. Discrimination is what? Because discrimination if you have, and you have the will to use your discrimination to act accordingly, you are a saint. We the lovers are knowledge and God is perfect knowledge. Rather, he is the form of knowledge itself. God realization is impossible without becoming a perfect man. He quotes one Bailey who says, let each man think himself an act of God, his mind a thought, his life a breath of God. See? Another person, Hall, says, an evil man is clay, that I have already told you. See? So, I am giving an instance of Lalaji's capacity for abiding by the will of God. In his last days, he was suffering from abscess in the liver and was undergoing naturopathy treatment. Pandit Rameshwar Prasad Mishra, one of his disciples, was applying the mud poultice externally on his liver. He began to weep to see Lalaji in the severest agony because of the pain. Seeing his weeping, Master said, it can be removed within minutes if I exercise myself, meaning my will. But I am not touching it because it is his will and we must abide by it. It is not only tolerance, it is acceptance of everything as divine will, reflected in the 10 maxims I said earlier, accept miseries as blessings of God. Shelley has been thrown into me. So you see, these are the things that Babuji Maharaj has written about his great master Lalaji Maharaj. I wonder how many disciples even think of whether they love their master or not. Because in my practice, in my experience with my master, which is now more than 40 years, 42 years, some 64 to 83, some 19 to 20 years of which I spent personally at his divine feet, accompanying him on his travels, living with him in Shahjahanpur, seeing his ashrams built in Shahjahanpur, eating with him, sleeping in the same room with him, alone, having mice go over our bodies all night, preventing sleep. Of course, Babuji did not need anything to prevent sleep. One question would keep him awake for 6 hours because a question led to another question, because each answer evoked a question. And we sat all night sometimes till 5 o'clock, answering questions, whispering some secrets even in that darkness of midnight, because he would always be, unwilling to share knowledge with those who did not deserve it. Nowadays, in the Western culture, there is this thought that every human being has a right to know. Of course, governments preach this right to know business as transparency, so everything is clean. But in spirituality and in sacred knowledge, esoteric wisdom, there is no such right. The only thing that can endow this right upon you is your preparation to receive such knowledge. Am I fit to receive such knowledge? If you are fit, it will be given to you without your asking. If you are not, no amount of even begging will give you that knowledge. And it cannot be accessed otherwise than through the Guru. And it must come from his mouth. Therefore, in the Vedas it is said, it is received knowledge, spoken from mouth to ear, see. And therefore, sometimes some of these very sacred mantras, when, say, for example, in initiating an abhyasi or a disciple, it is whispered into his ear. The disciple is covered with a silk cloth, and the Guru puts his head into it like a small tent you are familiar with in Europe, and he whispers into his ear. And the Guru must, and the Shishya or disciple must be alert to receive it. He cannot say, sorry, what did you say? It's not lost. An egg once broken cannot be put back and broken again. That is that. If he has not received it, if he has been, thinking of other things, well, in such a sacred and holy situation, like being almost, touching faces, the Guru decides he is not worth it, his time has not come, then it may never come. Therefore, Babuji insisted on alertness all the time. He said, when you are with the Master, you have to be alert 24 hours. If he even whispers, you must be instantly alert and sitting, waiting to receive. Such are the requirements of discipleship. And what is it that can produce such a state of alertness? Only love. One must be like the mother with a baby. The situation is reversed. The mother is alert throughout the night. Even in deepest sleep, if the baby lets out a squawk, she is awake. Here the baby the mother has to be alert. The mother being, at this time, the role being played by the abhyasi. He has to be alert, while the true mother, the Guru, can sleep, and even in his sleep, he whispers your name, Yasmin. And in some mysterious way, you hear it, you get up, and you are there. He sees you and says, I am glad you are here. I wanted to tell you something very important. And even if it sounds to you trivial, or as if you have heard it before, you should not say, what is this old man waking me up at midnight to tell me something he has told me 75 times? You must be alert and ask why I am being told this again and again and again. Does it mean it's like a book I have read and never absorbed? I have skipped the pages, read the beginning and read the end, nothing in between. I know how a man was born and how he died, but I don't know his charitra, as we call it, his biography in between. It's like coming to the Guru, touching his head and touching his feet. The first is forbidden, the second is in Sahaj Marg, also forbidden. We are supposed to touch his heart. So why is he repeating it, if at all he is repeating it? Because suppose he says, tell the truth. In modern life, you can ask, always, Master? And he will say, tell the truth. But yes, Master, I asked you a question. I am telling you, tell the truth, third time. Oh, this man won't answer questions, He is read only up to the 5th or 6th class according to his own ambition. So how is he going to clarify? So you go and discuss with Abhyasis. You know, I remember once I was traveling with a very rich Abhyasi, and we had a long discussion. There were other Abhyasis. This man also happens to be a preceptor, and he was expounding, saying that when Babuji says, follow me with wisdom, it also means when I tell you the truth, be wise in following the truth. So one man asked, is it good to evade taxes? He said, yes, of course. Taxes are things which governments levies and we earn, and they just pluck, like plucking a chicken, you see. And the Abhyasis were very happy. Then the preceptor turned to me and said, brother, am I right? I said, since you asked me, I must say you are wrong. Because tell the truth means tell the truth under all circumstances. Pay your taxes means pay your taxes whether you are ripped off or not, because it is for social welfare. The whole country runs on taxes. Government does not create money. It gathers money and gives it back to you. Like the honey maker gathers the honey and then sells it back to you so much per pound or kilo. No, brother, I don't think you are perfectly right. I said there is no such thing as perfectly right. Either you are right or wrong. See, this is the problem with ethical situations. We are always trying to go like fish between the stones, dodge the issue, as we say. We try to create a definition applicable to ourselves, suitable and congenial for us to practice. Don't take what is others. Yes, but suppose it is on the street. What should I do? Take it to the police station. Yes, but then the police people will rob it and take it for themselves. That doesn't concern you. You have handed it over to them. Now it is their business what they do with it. You know, I read of a story where in Saudi Arabia, a man reported that he saw a purse with 87 dirhams in it to the police. The police cut off his wrist, hand from the wrist. He said, I told you the truth, I reported something in there. They said, why did you open the purse? You see, under Islamic law, he was punished. So it is not for us to judge. Stolen object, give it. Found object, put it in the lost and found. Whether they return or not, whether the government is eating your money or not, is not our concern. We obey the law, both temporal and divine. This says this, that says that. Somebody asked Babuji, yes, but Babuji, we will never have then peace of mind in our lives. He said, look, every 4 years elections are held. Vote wisely. Forget your caste, forget your community, forget your favorite party. Vote for the right man under all circumstances and you will have the right government. But elections everywhere are emotional, socially conditioned, religion oriented. And therefore we don't have a good government. One is pulling this way, one is pulling that way, third is pulling this way. And so you have that famous example of mathematics, parallelogram of forces. You don't know where it will go. Really speaking, even the government does not know where it is going. Because there are so many forces pulling in diverse directions. So you see, from electing your own government, to paying your taxes, to your personal life, to your social life with others, and most especially to your Abhyasi life. As an Abhyasi, with Abhyasis in the mission, under all circumstances, obey means obey absolutely. Tell the truth means tell the truth totally. You know, in the courts when the witness is sworn in, I promise to tell the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. But they don't mean it. They just touch the Bible. That poor Bible, if it could to speak, it would have its own stories to tell. So our life is no conditioned by selfishness, always by selfishness. So the principles of Sahaj Marg, total obedience to these principles depends on how much you love the master. Everybody wants speedy progress in spirituality. That is a desire they share with everybody else without knowing what lies at the other end of the journey. Nobody knows. It is just a common thing, you know. It is an escapist wish, desire, that let me get out of this world into something which seems to be better, because we call it the brighter world, others call it heaven, the Buddhists call it nirvana, you know, and the Islam calls it Jannat. There must be some good. And we escape from this world of pain, because as long as the body is there, pleasure and pain, happiness and sorrow, all these are there because the body is subject to the dualities of existence. We don't imagine, we don't want to believe that pleasure is always followed by pain. Always. It is the law. Everything changes into its opposite. Day changes into night. Night changes into day. Pleasure changes into pain. Pain, when suffered properly, changes into pleasure. That is perhaps the philosophy behind accept pain, accept sufferings as miseries of God, as blessings of God, because then you are sure it will change it into itself into opposite condition, and by the time you reach your goal, there are no more dualities, there is only bliss, the bliss of existence, beyond which lies that which only He knows, because until we experience it, we won't know it. So without love for the Guru, you know, the obedience that we try to generate in Sahaj Marg, I asked Babuji once, do you trust or do you believe that these principles will be followed? He says, Parthasarthi, I am telling you something I cannot tell in public. Unless the Abhyasi loves the master, they will not obey it. Because they will obey only if they are selfish. And although many people desire to be liberated, they don't really want liberation. If I ask 100 people who wants to be liberated now, you know, and I tried this so many times in our large assemblies in Europe, in the US, in India, I said, all those who want liberation now put up your hands. Not one hand was ever raised, because they say, why, no, master, since you are going to give me liberation, let me live a few years more. I have 2 daughters to marry off. I have still to fulfill my insurance commitments, because if I die now, I don't know what will happen to my children. My youngest boy is only 5. Who will look after him if I am gone? So please give me, no, I made a mistake. Not 5 years, give me 10 years, please. After all, you are there to liberate me. See? And we don't know, or I should say, but we don't know what is going to happen to those years, if He blesses us with those years, between now and liberation. I told Babuji Maharaj, you know, when he put me at the highest point and said, your work is now over, now your work is to work upon others and bring to them what I have given to you. Distribute. That teaches us many lessons. What we receive is not to be kept, but to be distributed. Distributed among deserving people, undeserving people, thrown like seeds on the fields, without judging that here it will grow, here it will not grow, therefore I will put here. You saw me feeding the fish just now. I can't feed a particular fish. If I want to feed a particular fish, I'll have to isolate it and put it in a bowl, it will die. So either I feed all or I feed none. So we must understand that even things like distributing have a law of their own which says unless everybody receives, you cannot give to one in particular except if it is your family. There you start feeding your family and tell the family to feed others. Babuji gave the example of a father coming home from work, buying a packet of biscuits on the way, and he said, being a father of his son, he will first give it to his son. But he will tell the son, boy, give it to everybody. See, it's not a request, it's not an order, it is a symbol of love between father and son, that the son will obey and say, yes, Papa, and distribute it. This is the fundamental ethic of Sahaj Marg. You receive to give. If you don't give, you don't receive. When a pipe is blocked, nothing will flow through it, but it will receive nothing more. We have to become conduits, every one of us. And those who become conduits, I gave you the example of Babuji, where when he started work, he said it was like a stream, thin, conduit of transmission. It became a pipe, it became a bigger pipe. One fine day, there was no pipe. The pipe had disappeared. And he said, if I let out the full force of my energy, it can even destroy this world. So the final flood is probably nothing more than his final transmission, which says, receive and be blessed. We think of it as destruction, oh, so many people will die, Chariji, yes, but they will be liberated. Babuji often used to talk of destruction, and particularly Western Abhyasis used to be quite bothered. They used to ask, but why destruction, Babuji? Is there no better way? He said, I'm telling you, God is all wise. If you could do it without destruction, He would not have destruction. They said, how to avoid it? He said, all if you evolve to such an extent that there be no destruction. And he said, know that every bit of destruction on earth comes because of human grossness, human vice, and human acts of destruction against nature. He said, for every leaf you pluck, there is an account being maintained somewhere, and nature will react. I have already told you this, I don't need to expatiate again on that. So nature's destruction comes only when human beings act against nature, against natural laws, things like that, you see. Therefore, we must under all circumstances obey, be simple and in tune with nature, which is one of our maxims. So Babuji loved Lalaji to such an extent that if Lalaji said no food, no food, no water, no water. I remember that old Sufi story about a Sufi saint who was wandering in the desert, and having lost the supply of water, he was dying of thirst. He was lying there, on the sand, Allah, 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 and a camel man stopped. One was one of the travelers across the desert. And he stopped and said, what is it? Why are you like this? He said, well, I'm thirsty, I'm dying of thirst. Can you give me some water? Fan, please, fan. He said, yes, I will give you some water, and turned to fetch his water bag. When he looked back, he found this saint. Only the corpse was there and it was going rotten. Maggots were eating it up. So he fell on his knees and prayed to Allah and said, Allah, what has happened to this saint? One moment he was here, next moment he is stinking. The God answered and said, my son, he was totally dependent on me. When he transferred his dependence to you, this is his destiny. So dependence is not for those moments when we need to be dependent. Like when we are about to crash into another car and say, oh, Master, help me. Of course, he will help you. Therefore, constant remembrance, because you are continuously remembering him, nothing can befall against his will. If it is his will that you should suffer the accident and learn a lesson, you will do it. Then you cannot carp and complain and say, what is this wonderful master, He permitted this to happen. Of course he permits this to happen. Nature permits a mother to suffer when she has a baby, followed by a lifetime of happiness. Half an hour suffering, lifetime of happiness, pleasure, contentment, joy. So when God gives, He does it to correct a situation and give you pleasure and happiness thereafter. What was correction of situation when you have a baby? It is that the motherhood was not there. She did not enjoy motherhood. Therefore, He corrected the situation and gave her a baby. And now I learned one very good lesson, very necessary lesson. That when people have, say for instance, in their past lives, hated their children, nowadays it's very common. People don't want babies. They want pleasure without babies. Nature says, no, this was not an instrument of pleasure. It is an instrument to have babies, and when you are misusing it, no babies. So I advise them, adopt a baby. And very often when they adopt, immediately they have children. I can give you several cases in our own satsang, but not necessary. See? Even when you totally accept with your heart the idea of adoption and say, this will be my baby, he shall be like this, he shall be like that. You know, expectant mothers are always crooning to their babies. My son will be a Raja, you know, so all sorts of funny things. Their own, shall we say, fantastic images of what they want to be. So that the motherhood, the desire for motherhood must reopen in a different way. That the heart is now open to a baby which need not be biologically mine. The moment you accept, of course you adopt the baby, instantly comes your conception. I have seen this happening again and again, but especially in this wonderful land of India, I don't know why adoption is not totally accepted yet. I mean, very scarcely accepted. All because, and here again comes this corrupting idea of money, all because my wealth should go to my biological blood son. As if an adopted son is not my son. As if the 100 cats for which a millionaire lady in New York left $6 million when she died. She didn't give birth to cats. As if the dog I own in my house is born to my wife. Why not a baby born to some other mother be mine also? When this largeness of the heart comes, that I am a mother. The Virgin Mary is not our mother. She was only Jesus' mother. And whether she was his biological mother is, you know, a question to be thought over, because he did not have a biological father. He was born of a miracle, the virgin birth of Mary. Yet we love Mother Mary, Mama, Santa Maria. See? Why not at the other end of the scale we love babies? Every baby we see on the street is mine. Of course it has a mother, but it is no less mine. That is the right way to look upon children, brothers and sisters. They need not be born out of the same mother as I was born. Nevertheless, they are my brethren. Therefore, Sahajmar teaches, look upon all as your brothers and sisters. And therefore, we have the 9 o'clock prayer at night, where we pray for all. And slowly you find people coming. When we broadcast seeds, all the birds eat. We don't call one bird. I may have a bird at home, my pet, I feed it. But when I scatter food on the grass, so many birds come and eat it. And they will be my friends. I have one pet at home, I have a lot of friends outside. Which is better? You know the story of the lion which was caught in a net, hunter's net. And a rat came and a mouse cut it free. You know that story, no? Aesop's fables. Like that, which bird will be our savior in the future life? Remember the story I told you about the emperor and his fish? They saved him from hell, eternal hell, by just getting out of the Lord the promise of 5 minutes in heaven. So these are the great mysteries of spirituality. We are always going after the mysteries of science. Science has no mysteries. They are all open. Why is this tree green? Chlorophyll. How does it breathe? Everybody knows. Why should you put it inside the house at night or day, whatever? We know. How are children born? We know. None of this knowledge is essential to existence, because human existence is given merely to transcend it and go beyond. If we obey and if we perform according to the tenets that we have in our own heart, which are only reawakened and brought into our consciousness by the sayings of the Guru. Remember, they are only reawakened. I don't receive teaching. I only receive awakening. Like a sleeper, you know, please wake up. The disciplined man wakes up because he makes the thought earlier. Previous night, say, I'll wake up at 4, 3:55 is awake. Here we are not disciplined. So the knowledge, the infinite knowledge that every human has a right for, is lying hidden in my heart like gold under my house, of which I am not aware. Guru speaks, and little by little this knowledge comes. Now I have to act not at all on his instructions, which are there only to remind me of the instructions I have in my heart, impressed therein by myself. So when I obey the Guru, I am only obeying myself. When he says, do this, I must only do that which I have not done before, but we say, no, I have to do to get there. It is like a mother telling a child who are wandering along the platform, looking at books, looking at sweets, looking at biscuits, longing for them. Honey, come quickly, the train is about to move. And she puts the child into the train and gets on. Suppose she got in first, she might very well move off without the train, without the baby. So finally we come to this understanding, he is one who reminds us of why we are born, the purpose of our birth, and reawakens the knowledge lying hidden in ourselves. And had we tarried in a past life on the way, he is there to help us to move further on the way, and his purpose is only